Based on a conversation with my friends, I seem to be in the minority here, but I strongly prefer defecating at home. I will urinate in public restrooms. It is so uncomfortable defecating that I have only used public restrooms for that purpose twice in my life. Both times were absolute emergencies. Even when talking to my parents, I never used the restroom in public as a child. I am okay in hotel rooms and close family members' homes, but not in restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, or similar places. Story 1. I will use any clean toilet seat. If I expect it to be loud, I prefer more privacy, but I have less time to find it. I grew up on a farm, so anywhere with running water and no spiders is good enough for me. Story 2. Not at all. Especially when the stalls leave gaps for you to make eye contact with people walking in the bathroom. If I can wait until I get home, I will. Story 3. I never used the school toilets to have a bowel movement from kindergarten through 12th grade, a total of 13 years. When we traveled out of town, I could not use public restrooms. I had to wait until we reached the hotel room. For some reason, I always needed that extra layer of privacy. Story 4. Never had a problem. I have had literal conversations with people through stalls. The thing I always remember is we are all here for the same reason. No one is excreting flowers or sparkles. We are here to expel waste from our bodies. It is stinky, gross, and occasionally loud. There is no dressing it up. I refuse to be judged for experiencing a biological need behind the privacy of a closed stall. Story 5. I never thought of it as a question of comfort. I suppose if I give it any thought, I would rather not, but if I need to have a bowel movement, then I need to have a bowel movement, and it is usually preferable to doing it in my shorts. Story 6. Only if I really have to go. Talking about I passed gas, and that is literally crowning, and I am miles from home. Story 7. I am currently using the restroom in a Home Depot. It is not my preferred choice, but it is actually not bad in here. I chose one in a wealthy neighborhood, so it has nicer and cleaner bathrooms. Story 8. As a person with Crohn's disease, I have urgent bowel movements that cannot be delayed. Crohn's disease causes an immediate need to use the restroom. Story 9. It used to be like this, but college made me deal with the fact that your only bathroom was a public bathroom stall. I also got used to one guy who would sit naked in the shower crying loudly once a week, with a girl standing outside the stall trying to calm him down. Story 10. I usually avoid it for the most part because of the toilet paper situation. It is either really bad toilet paper, the toilet paper holder is not in a position that I can easily reach, or it just constantly rips. Buc-ee's has the nicest restrooms among gas stations, but that is a whole experience on its own. I dislike Target, Walmart, and most convenience stores. Pilot Truck Stop is usually pretty decent. Story 11. Construction site portable toilets are more pleasant to use than any public restroom, such as those in gas stations, restaurants, or retail stores. Story 12. I don't care. When you have to go, you have to go. If I am home or almost home, I do it there. If I need to while I am out, I will look for a public toilet. The stalls give plenty of privacy, so I do not really care. Story 13. As long as it is clean and has toilet paper or wipes, it does not matter. If you need to go, go. It is not good for your body to hold it in. Story 14. When the situation calls, the situation calls. As long as there is a somewhat tidy toilet and toilet paper, I am good. Story 15. I don't use the bathroom at home anymore, or very rarely. Having been a tradesman all my life, you get pretty comfortable using uncomfortable places. Portable toilets, the back of the van, customers' pristine bathrooms, the absolute worst. Now I work from home, and after a period of not getting out enough, I made it a little challenge to never use the bathroom or shower at home. The benefits for me are significant as it gets me out of the house to a cafe, supermarket, pub, literally anywhere. B, to the gym. If I need a shower, then I'm going to the gym. If I'm going to the gym, I'm working out. If I'm not working out, I'm at least having a sauna, swim, cold dip, or jacuzzi. Overall, the gym is a good place for me where I always come out feeling better than when I went in. C, the office. I don't really need to go to the office anymore, but it's good to show your face so people remember you exist. So if I'm in the area, I'll stop in. So no issues. I'll use the bathroom anywhere. Story 16. Well, if it is clean. If it is clogged from vomit and someone has used the sink as a toilet, I will skip it. However, there are plenty of alternatives available from Walmart. Story 17. I would rather do it at home, but when you have to go, you have to go. I visit Barnes and Noble almost every time I am there. Luckily, it is usually clean, although somewhat run down. Story 18. My wife believes in the window. The window is when you feel the need to go. If you miss your window, you will get backed up. When I need to go, I go no matter where. When I was younger, I had irritable bowel syndrome, so finding a bathroom was the challenge. Good luck with your bowel movement anxiety. Story 19. I will go whenever the alternative is a very uncomfortable long wait or if I am about to soil my pants. However, I much prefer being at home because I have a bidet, and it makes everything better. Story 20. I might be in the minority, but I don't mind it at all. I somewhat even prefer using public restrooms to avoid making my own bathroom smell. Story 21. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Honestly, the toilets in most public places are more sanitary than mine. I don't clean mine more than once a day. They do. Story 22. Of course, I prefer to do it at home, not least because I have a bidet. But when you have to go, you have to go. Story 23. Brother, I refuse to defecate once I leave the house. If I am taking an overnight trip or even 2 nights, I will not defecate. Sometimes the change in routine makes it so I can't even if I wanted to, but I will summon as much courage and willpower as possible to make it home to my private toilet with heated seat and bidet. I have always been like this. Since kindergarten or preschool, when I realized bathroom time was really just forcing it out and hurrying up, I never felt clean using a public restroom. Eventually, I moved away to college and, guess what, one of the first days I was there defecating at 3 a.m. in the dorm bathroom when some random intoxicated girl stumbled into the bathroom and crashed through my stall door. I ended up finding solitary restrooms on campus with 0 nighttime use. My method for peaceful restroom use has been to wait until the middle of the night or very early morning when in a shared restroom setting, hold it in public or at work. I have one semi-private restroom available to me. And in an emergency, I never, ever leave the house. I have never had an emergency incident in public because I don't take that risk. Anyway, I was 33 before I finally said, okay, let's try this again. I can do it now if I have to, but I hate it. So you might be unusual, but you're not alone. Story 24. I used to be very shy about this. Then I got food poisoning while in traffic in New Delhi and barely made it to a public toilet. After suffering severe stomach illness in an Indian public toilet, which was a hole in the ground, I have no fear of death. Story 25. I avoid defecating in public as much as possible. I can probably count on one hand the number of times I have done so in the last 10 years. Story 26. I prefer going at home, but I have no problem with it if I need to go. Especially if there are multiple stalls, there is a certain anonymity that comes from being one of many. I still prefer going at home, but I will absolutely not hesitate if I need to go. Story 27. It depends on how urgently I need to use the restroom. If it is urgent and I cannot hold it, I will go almost anywhere. However, if I can wait until I get home, I will. Story 28. The only call you cannot ignore is the call of nature. If you have to go, you have to go. I am old enough now to be thankful that a toilet is near. Story 29. Not comfortable with it at all. Whenever possible, I will hold it in until I get to my home, hotel, or a good friend's place. Story 30. If I need to defecate, I will do so regardless of my location. I might hold it for a while if my only option is a portable toilet, but other than that, I will go immediately and do not care. Story 31. I would prefer to do it at home, but when the urge strikes, I do not have many options. A few years ago, I had half of my colon removed due to cancer and now experience what is known as urge incontinence, which means that I do not get much warning before I have to go, no gradual buildup of pressure, no long lead times, just a sudden feeling of now. It is annoying, but it is better than having cancer. Story 32. Pretty fine as long as the bathroom is clean. Unfortunately, my body says now and not in 5 more hours, so I just have to do it. Story 33. There is a scene from the movie Trainspotting where he visits the worst toilet in Scotland. That scene illustrates that when you have to go badly enough, it does not matter. Story 34. I cannot do it even if I wanted to. I have had a few occasions where I desperately needed to go, and the moment I squatted over the toilet seat, my body just shuts down, and I cannot even have a bowel movement. Story 35. I used to be very uncomfortable, but at some point in my teenage years, I just accepted the fact that my butt is going to touch places where many strangers' butts have touched before. I still prefer to poop at home. Story 36. Not at all, brother. If there is not enough noise to completely mask the sound of me passing gas, I have severe stomach problems. I will not defecate properly. It will take much longer. I will urinate anywhere, but it is difficult to have a proper bowel movement next to another man making loud noises like he is the champion of passing gas. Story 37. I am able to use public restrooms if they are not the open space between panels kind, but I prefer not to. I also wash myself after using the toilet, and all public toilets only have toilet paper, often the cheapest single ply that can legally be called toilet paper. I can easily use the restroom at work since it is an employees-only toilet with an actual room containing one toilet, one sink, and decent toilet paper. Otherwise, I prefer to wait until I get home. Story 38. Wait until you start working. Then you either have to fight over the few private bathrooms or just use the public one. Story 39. Most of my adult life has been spent working in construction, so I quickly trained my body to have bowel movements only in the morning before leaving for work. This way, I don't have to worry about insects or discomfort while using a hot portable toilet. I can hold it all day, but I do keep toilet seat covers in my car and use a whole roll of toilet paper to create a barrier, so I avoid any discomfort if I have diarrhea in a public bathroom. Story 40. Hate it, but you have to do what you have to do. You do not avoid doing something necessary just because it is uncomfortable. Story 41. Extremely uncomfortable. I usually have to wait for the bathroom to clear before my body allows me to relieve myself. Story 42. I am not at all uncomfortable. I will wait until I am back home or in a hotel room. The few times I have had a bowel movement, it has always been very messy and required a whole roll of toilet paper to clean up. Story 43. In the United States, it is not acceptable unless it is a very real emergency, and then let's hope there is a Buc-ee's close by. If I am traveling, I always carry a small portable toilet and toilet paper. I will find a secluded spot somewhere. In Europe, there are no problems. They have a cultural respect for toilets that ensures they are clean 90% of the time. Story 44. I'm fine with it. Honestly, it's the least strange. I was in the Marine Corps, so we had to relieve ourselves in some unusual situations and places. It prepared me for dealing with similar situations in the real world after I got out. Story 45. It's the one place where I approve of playing your music out loud in public. I will have no problem playing music to cover the sound of flatulence. I also don't have a problem getting a wad of toilet paper, putting some soap and water on it, and wiping before sitting down. Story 46. I remember one occasion during a road trip when I had to use the restroom at a rest area. I emptied my lower gastrointestinal tract and was getting ready to wipe when a kid decided to sit in the stall next to me, even though all the other stalls were empty, and started singing. I felt uncomfortable wiping with someone so close, so I decided to wait. Then the kid asked if there was anyone else there. I replied yes and kept waiting until he finally left. Then I finished wiping and left. It was relieving to have that waste out of my system. I would have preferred to do it at home, but it had not yet passed through when I left. That situation was really uncomfortable. Story 47. I seem to be the only one among my family and friends who cannot use the restroom in public. I also will not urinate unless it is an absolute emergency. Growing up in an environment where the facilities are disgusting causes this. Story 48. Better out than in. I am glad I have gotten over the fear of using the restroom in public, but I will need to create a whole new toilet seat made out of toilet paper. Story 49. I spent many years traveling all over, and using a truck stop or restaurant bathroom is nothing. However, my wife's former brother-in-law can only use his own bathroom. It is funny that when they go on holiday somewhere, They can only be gone for 5 to 7 days and then have to rush back to Vancouver to unload. Story 50. If I have to choose between defecating in my pants or a less than optimal alternative, I have not defecated in my pants for over 60 years, and I am not starting now. Story 51. At one point in basic training, if you needed to defecate, you did so in an open bathroom with 6 or more toilets. There were no stalls or dividers. Now, I would defecate in my front lawn if I needed to. Story 52. After working in construction doing sewer and water, once you have used the blue sauna once, any bathroom feels like a luxury. Story 53. No one wants to use public resource record sets unless they need to. If you cannot do it, then that is your responsibility. Why is this even a question? Story 54. I seem to always have to use the restroom when I am doing a site visit and have to use a portable toilet. If possible, try to use the restroom in the lobby of a nice hotel. Story 55. I try to be quiet. It is unpleasant having strangers hear the sounds of gas passing in public. Using the restroom at home is comparatively more comfortable. Story 56. Will do at work, gym, schools, and hospitals, but that is about it. Pretty facilities that hire actual janitors. Story 57. I strive to be regular and lead an orderly life so that I can use my own toilet. If I need to use the restroom at work or at a gas station, I am not exactly uncomfortable, but I am inconvenienced. Story 58. I am a truck driver. I have gotten used to using public bathrooms. I would much rather use the bathroom at home, but I have no choice in this profession. Story 59. In days of old, when nights were bold and toilets had not yet been invented, you left your load upon the road and walked away contented. Story 60. For some, nature calls, but for me, nature screams bloody murder, then launches a tirade of explicit abuse if I dare ignore it. If it's clean, a basic wipe with toilet paper and away we go. If it looks a bit questionable, we use the dual or triple layer toilet paper protection to separate my cheeks from the seats. Story 61. I'm not. Maybe it's autism, but I will do my absolute best to not defecate in a public toilet. Sometimes my bowels have other plans in mind, though. Story 62. If I cannot hold it until I get home, I will only use family restrooms in retail stores. If you are ever in a bind, try your local PetSmart store. They are always private and less busy. Story 63. The only toilets I will ever use are airport toilets. Other than that, I will use tablets or willpower so I do not have to use the toilet in public. Story 64. I don't like staying at my in-laws' house because the bathroom is right next to the living room and kitchen area. I can hear my mother-in-law cooking and cleaning the dishes, so I think, I'm betting everyone in the house can hear me using the bathroom right now. It's not a fun experience. Story 65. Public restrooms are not my favorite place, but if I have to go, I would rather be a little uncomfortable and use one than be uncomfortable for who knows how long and wait until I get home. Story 66. I prefer not to, but I do not worry if the need arises. I do not linger there looking at my phone, I can assure you. Story 67. No problem creating as long as there is good toilet paper and none of that quarter ply that rips and dissolves the moment you touch it. Story 68. I will go anywhere. My husband will only use the restroom in public if it is an emergency. However, he has Crohn's disease, so emergencies occur more frequently. Story 69. Weirdly, mostly because of circumstance, I have never in my life used a public restroom for it. At this point, I make a minor effort just to keep up the streak. I don't think I would really care, but I am impressed by my own resolve. Story 70. The older I get, the less uptight I am about it. Experience has given me the knowledge to know where to go when I am out. Not the gas station, but maybe a JCPenney. Story 71. Very much. When you have to go, you have to go. Besides, if you hold it in for a substantial time, it could damage your internal organs. Story 72. I mean, if you have to go, you have to go. Still, I would prefer not to do it at a fast food restaurant where there is only one stall. Some of my favorite places so far have been the Ritz-Carlton and an outlet mall with nice restrooms. Story 73. Nobody chooses to defecate in public, but we all have to from time to time. Push the waste out, flush immediately, clean yourself and flush again. This is easier for you and everyone who uses the bathroom afterward. Story 74. Single bathroom? Not comfortable at all because I always think someone will be waiting for me. Multiple stalls. No problem. Story 75. I'm an accomplished public defecator and have no problems emptying my bowels, whether in a stall, bathroom-style facility, or woodland setting. It's urination that I have issues with. Story 76. I used to hang out at a website called poopreport.com. It was filled with tales of woe about people who waited 5 minutes too long. Most users could be categorized into one of two types: shameless shitter or shameful shitter. I'm in the shameless shitter category because not only would I destroy your toilet, but I would also use your shower curtain to clean myself, and do all of that with the fan off, then let you discover the mess on your own. Shameful shitters are the truly funny folks because they refuse the pragmatic approach. In a loaf pinch, any nearby toilet will do. Instead, you get tales of the person who's in the middle of the grocery store, and in their panic, they abandon their fully loaded shopping cart in the dry goods aisle, run out to the car, and violate every possible traffic law in a mad dash to get to their home-based toilet with intense discomfort the entire way. Then, when they pull up into their driveway, feeling like relief is just a few footsteps away, as they race up the walk to the front door, the situation makes its escape and now they have to do the waddle of shame, hoping the entire affair wasn't caught on their or their neighbor's security camera. Story 77. I am accustomed to situations where my choice is not between a public restroom or my bathroom at home, but rather between a portable toilet and a public restroom. Consequently, the public restroom seems downright luxurious. Special recognition to the restroom at Farmer Boys in Indio, one of the most popular places for Coachella campers to use the restroom. Story 78. Never done it and will never do it in the future. This rule applies to every country I travel to as well. Story 79. I cannot do it. I can only just about urinate in the bathroom at work. Therefore, rapping in a public bathroom is never going to happen. Story 80. If I ever get pulled over for speeding, my go-to response is that I have to get home quickly to use the restroom. Story 81. Fine, as long as there is nobody else in there. If somebody is, I will come back. If somebody comes in, everything goes on pause until they leave. Story 82. When you have to go, you have to go. Put a little toilet paper on the seat, and you are golden. I cannot stand the seat covers or papers. I use toilet paper instead of those always. Story 83. I went to use the restroom at a Buc-ee's, went to squat, got up, took off all my clothing, and stretched my legs out. Truth be told, the cleanest public stalls I have ever encountered. Story 84. I have done it many times, but I don't like to in case it's an attack and I can't get my legs spread wide enough to stop mess smearing up my cheeks. Then I need a lot of paper to remove it all and hope I haven't missed any. Then a bit more folded up and wetted to wash off any last bits without making the hemorrhoids bleed. Then a bit more paper to dry. So yeah, I prefer home. Story 85. No way am I defecating in public bathrooms unless I really have to, which fortunately for me is rare. They are extremely disgusting. Story 86. Depends on where I am. The United States cannot be treated like an adult. America? Then I hate it because we practically have to relieve ourselves in the open. Europe? No problems. Indonesia? It was easy because I actually did not have a choice my entire trip. It sort of just happened every 2 hours. Story 87. It depends on how bad it is. I have done it in desperate situations and honestly took a bottle of water with me and used soap to clean up after using the paper. That was decades ago. Now, I make sure to empty it all before leaving the house. Story 88. I absolutely refuse to. I once held it for a 6-hour flight, a 3-hour layover, and then a 45-minute flight back home. That was not fun. Story 89. I'll avoid it if I can, but I am a regular man. I finally had to stop carrying some because I defecate a few times in a day. Story 90. I enjoy my own bathroom with my bidet. That said, it is much better than defecating in the woods against a tree. Story 91. All the time. If I need to defecate and the washroom is clean, I have no issue. Now I prefer to defecate at home with my bidet, but I usually have wipes, so I am good to go because the toilet paper is my only issue. Story 92. All I can tell you is that when you go to a public restroom in nearly every other country and come back to the United States, you just ask yourself, why do they love these communal stalls? It truly is a communal experience, starting with their knee-high dividers, which still do not go up high enough on the top, and the gaps in the doorways through which you can pass a drink. I mean, I went somewhere in London, and when I closed the stall, it was like I was in a private room. The divider went from floor to ceiling. It was great. Story 93. I have no problem with leaving waste just about anywhere I can sit down. Portable toilets and gas stations were my norm for many years at work. Story 94. I prefer my bathroom, but I will use a public one if I have to, as long as it is clean. Pro tip: every Lowe's, TJ Maxx, Academy Sports, and Tractor Supply I have been in across the United States has very clean bathrooms and is well stocked with toilet paper. Story 95. No issues with a couple of caveats. Target bathrooms and 7-Eleven bathrooms near me are worse than most rest areas. In fact, I have been to rest areas that are nicer. However, in an absolute emergency, I will use them. Story 96. I was in Home Depot on Wednesday. I was walking from the lumber section to the front register when a worker passed me and said, "Be careful over there. They are cleaning up an accident." When I got further up the aisle, I saw a trail of waste from the front of the store back to the bathrooms and a man with a mop and bucket trying to clean it up. I guess when you have to go, you have to go. Story 97. 0%. I have never used public restrooms for number 2. I even hold it in if I have to visit my relatives for a few days. If it is longer than that, then I have to do what I have to do. Story 98. When I was young and immature, I did not like using public restrooms because I was afraid my friends might find out. Later, I grew up. Story 99. Wait, your friends prefer to use a public restroom? Except that you will have to as well, but prefer it? Story 100. I would rather someone else unclog the toilet than have to unclog it myself. I am fine with dropping bombs in public restrooms. Story 101. It is a whole ritual if I defecate in a public toilet. I have no problem, but it is a rule to hover and throw some toilet paper to cover the water first. Do not let the splash get you. Story 102. It's an emergency. I'm not well even if I'm going to touch that thing. One $50 bidet attachment and my body wants nothing to do with anywhere but home. Trained for 6:30 a.m. like a soldier. I skipped breakfast and lunch for about 15 years. Let everyone else clog the blue box and be gross. That yummy food doesn't look worth it. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.